Well, hello. Good morning. Take a little sip of coffee. All right. So, welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you so much for being here. It's another Saturday, right? What are we at? What's the day? 26th, I think it is. Yeah, June 26th. Awesome. How are we doing? How are we doing? See a couple people jumping in. That's awesome. What are we doing today, guys? Are we having fun? That's true. Oh, good morning, Nicole. Hello, Margaret. Yeah, last time I checked, it was morning. I mean, it was the light was slowly appearing. Good morning, Sharon. And yeah, yeah, it's truly morning here, except for my friend Nicole. It's quite afternoon for her at this point. So, oh wow, Margaret. Yeah, see, it's we stopped raining. Geez, there was a little bit last night before the sun went down, and then we haven't had anything since. Actually, all the pavements, driveways, streets are already dried out. So not a lot of action going on right at this moment. So I definitely am not going to complain. I mean, they were talking about all kinds of rain and whatnot. So but let me double check yeah. See, we don't have anything for a long ways away. So I don't see anything anytime soon. So that's a good thing. So, yes, Nicole, I know it's afternoon for you. So, good afternoon to you, my love. So, that's awesome. Yeah. So, but that's okay. It's like anything. It's better. I guess it's better than having a drought and then everything dying out. Hey, good morning, Jeff. Nice weather. Jeff, it certainly is. I want to put that up there real quickly. Hey, Tim, good morning. My buddy Jeff right there. See, that's an inside joke, gang. That is an inside joke right there. So I won't go into that because I don't want to embarrass him too much. But because even the best part was I wasn't even the one that coined that. So normally I would probably come up with something. So, but I was the one that kind of segue into that being coined. Oh, but it was good because I posted it. Well, I didn't post it for you guys. I posted it in our team chat yesterday, but it was like the day before or a couple days before. It was the 25th. That I, I saw this crazy music video and oh boy! And then somebody on our team said it looked like Jeff, and and then the rest is history. So hey, Rodney, good morning. So but that's how it goes with SWPI. I mean, we're a great bunch, I tell you. The amount of laughs and the how much we pick on each other and man, I tell you, it's which is great because I love that, and everybody on the team, gets a turn in the barrel, so to speak, because we man, you do something. That's the thing is you got to be careful whenever we gather. Usually it's at the old mill. Whenever we gather, you have to be extra careful because of the fact that if you do something or say something that's just, you don't realize you did it until it's too late, you're pretty much going to get picked on for the rest of the night. So, so a lot of times you have to be extra, you got to be careful. You got to pay attention. So that way you're not the one getting shots on. Oh, that's awesome, Margaret. Good. Congratulations for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, so yeah. Right, Tim. Or the next year. Yep. But no, that's awesome. So yeah, interesting week. Yes. Anything you say or do can be used against you. It's the Swippy way. That is 1000% true, Jeff. Appreciate that. um, but I wanted to do I got a few things I wanted to bring up, because that's the fun part about what I get to do. Uh I can really kind of highlight some of the things that are going on that, again, always try to be relevant to maybe it be something that you've experienced or something that, you might be well prepared for. And because a couple of them, I think, you'll be kind of, you know, okay, sometimes people don't realize things, and that's like one of the topics that I did post in the description for this week. Because I usually, if I got a good set of things that I definitely want to hit, I put those down so I don't forget. Because the one topic that I want to hit, I sort of forgot about it yesterday. I was like, what happened? How did I forget this? But I got a billion things going on in my mind. So, but I want to do a recap because I did not post anything last Sunday. Because shame on myself, when I was, because last weekend you guys knew that I was doing two back-to-back investigations. There was events that the Booth brothers were putting on. I talked about the Friday nights that last Saturday, which was great. And then I, which we'll get into in just a second. And then I, got into Saturday, did the Saturday thing. And then, which is cool because I do want to talk about a couple of things. Also in addition to that, but then I did not take hardly any photos, which was completely sad. I don't know what happened. Well, maybe you guys will understand when I talk about it here. And then Sunday, was leaving to come home, and I just completely, I whatever. So it happens. I try to do this so well. I try to get the phone up, but at the same time, when we're getting back to being around people, and you just start getting in, chit chatting and talking, and then we were investigating, and so like you just don't whip your phone out when you're having a good time with so many others, and especially some that you haven't seen in so long. So it was one of those situations this Saturday. I just completely hardly took my phone out at all, and which is a good thing. We, I'm I do like to look at my phone, scan the phone, because I'm always checking for things and trying to reply to messages. And then you get to where you get a lot of the youth, my kids, they're just stuck looking at a screen all day long, and so it's like you try to break them up, you try to get them to do things. So that's my thing, is when I'm trying, especially as we continue to progress back into being around each other again, I'm trying not to be the one that's, shoving a phone in people's faces or staring at my phone. Now, like I said, we get messages, and I got messages, sometimes it's you guys and you're like, hey, this, that, and the other. So I mean, I always look at that a little bit different, because sometimes messages, can be a little bit of a priority, but you guys know that, I mean, I'm usually pretty good at it, but I get busy just like everybody else, and so sometimes I can't respond immediately. And I think most of you understand. And nobody's really been yelling at me that I didn't respond. I mean, most are just like, "Hey, I sent you a message," because I always tell people, if I don't respond, just give me a friendly reminder, because it will never be intentional that I did not respond. So, good morning, Nancy. Yeah, well, Margaret, I posted the ones that were for Friday night. I really didn't post anything, that happened Saturday. But that, because I just didn't take enough, so it didn't even make a difference to post anything Saturday night/Sunday. It wasn't worth it. I mean, you want a couple hallway pictures? I think that's about the gist of it. And a couple of the Booth brothers, but when they were doing their little presentation and things. So, but it's like, that's not enough to really kind of showcase, the facility. So yeah, everybody, thanks, Dad. So, yeah, you don't want to whip it out, in front of everybody. I'm not that kind of exhibitionist, so I do like to speak. I do like to be on live shows and things. So yeah, so let's back up real quick. So we're gonna go. So Saturday night. Well, interesting thing enough is when I did the show last Saturday morning, what you guys probably didn't know, and you couldn't tell because I played it off really well, was that I wasn't feeling the greatest, and I didn't know why. I started to play in my head. Was I coming down with something? Was I having other issues? And I was like, what is happening? And and I'm just gonna say it, and it's weird. Um, and I know I'm sure my father's gonna make a wonderful comment when I say this. So I'm already expecting it to see it in the comment section shortly. But ever since I woke up Saturday morning and getting the show, ready to go, I just constantly kept having well, I take that back. It started happening during the week prior, but it wasn't as much and as intense as it was Saturday morning. I was having hot flashes, and, you know, I think everybody's had something or a form of it in some point in their life. You feel hot one minute and then you're kind of cold the next. Well, I shouldn't say cold. I should never say that because it was always just hot or back to normal. I never felt cold. Um, it's a big difference because I mean that would spell, illness of some sort. But no, it would be like a hot flash and then it would just be normal again. And it was happening on and off throughout the week. And I kept thinking, man, am I running a fever? See, that's what I said. It wasn't going to take long for him to pop that in there. I knew he was going to say it. See, and then there's Tim. Tim's actually saying it. See, that's what the wording I thought was going to say. Going through changes and menopause. Yep, I knew it. I knew somebody was going to say it. But um, no, because it's interesting. I mean, I'm going to laugh about it now but at the time, all that the week prior and then Saturday being the worst, it was, uh, it was freaking me out a little bit, but at the same time, the hot flashes weren't like, true like temperature issues. Like, I'd get a little sweaty, something like that. Even being able to control the air conditioning and keep myself cool. It was like, what in the hell's going on? So, but I figured it out. I did figure it out. And so I spent, so I did the show, and even had, some hot flashes during it. And Rodney, hang in there, hang on a second. And so basically, it happened on and off, on and off and off. And then I thought, okay, well, I know it's not like legit, like concerned as far as I had some ideas rolling in my head what I think it was going to be, but of course I was thinking health related. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and show up and it's going to tell me a lot because if it continues while I'm there, then I then I know it could be something illness wise or health related. If it stops, that's a whole nother situation. So sure enough, I go to Randolph because that was the second night. And funny part about it was I was not informed of a time change. So I get to Randolph early because that's what I met at the time that we said the night before. So I get to Randolph. It's 5:00 and I see the owner, Dan, and I see one of his helpers, Kate. And they're just kind of looking at me like strangely a little bit, even though I seen them the day before. They said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, we were told to meet here at 5." And they're like, "They changed it." And I went, "What?" I'm kind of like chuckling, going, "What?" And I'm like, I've been looking at my phone all day long, looking at my, messages, nothing, nothing, nothing. And they said, "Yeah, we just found out that they're going to show up a little bit later because they don't really have to do as big of a presentation, so they're going to come at 6:30." And I went, "Oh, now the hotel's only 5 minutes down the road, so it's real easy to get back to." So that was the first thought was, do I just go back to the hotel for, an hour and then come back? And then I was just like, well, I said, I mean, I'm here. Why don't I just hang out? And so Kate left because she didn't really need to be around because Dan was going to hang out. And then Dan had to run back to Stone Mansion for a couple things. So he says, "Hey, sign the waiver and then just you can have the place to yourself." And I went, "Okay," because that happened the day before at Stone Mansion. I had the place to myself. So I'm like, well, why not? There's nobody else here. Let's do this. So, Dan leaves. It's just me. So I walk into the place. And what I did first was I just walked around. I did one pass of all the floors and then came back, went outside for a second just to get some, quick fresh air. Because there were some parts that were warm, but most of them weren't too bad. And then, okay, well, then I grabbed grabbed my Ovilus, and then I went back in. And by the way, you're gonna find out about the whole hot flash thing. So I grab my Ovilus, I go back in, and uh the first thing I was going to do was, well, no, sorry. I grab my Ovilus, I stay on the main floor, I walk the first floor, and that's when things started happening. So I'm like, oh, all right. Well, they see me walk through already once, so I guess they now feel comfortable enough to make themselves known to me. So sure enough, I got down the men's hallway and went right as I was rounding the corner to go down the female hallway. The I start hearing like voices, and I'm like, and I can hear them echoing down the hall. So I mean, and it's down the same hallway I'm about to walk in. So I'm watching and I'm standing still, I'm listening, nothing, nothing. And no, I did not, Father, because I didn't I wasn't in that mode. I was just wanted to walk it. I didn't care. The Ovilus was just something I thought, well, I'll just have something to hold. And I'm hearing, I hear a couple voices. I'm like, okay. And then I kind of just quickly say, hey, I just said hello, just walking around, just checking things out before the event tonight. And so I walk down, walking by the rooms, looking in them, nothing, nothing, nothing. I do the second floor, same thing. But second floor, I start hearing footsteps walking around, because I would stop and then I'd hear the tip, 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 tip. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm liking this right now. I do that. I do the second floor, and then I come back down, go outside, just again, take another quick breath of fresh air. I then turn around and I'm thinking, okay, let's go back in, but now let's go down in the basement, because I haven't done the basement yet. So let me walk down there, because that's usually one of the intense areas that a lot of claims happen. So I get because the side door you use, you can see the stairs that go down to the basement. So I get down the first step, and just as I'm reaching to go to the second step, the outside door slams behind me. Now, it wasn't like super hard, so I didn't jump, but I just heard it, hit. And I look back over my shoulder, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, we have to check this out, because I'm by myself, and hey, turn around, walk those step and a half back up. I go to the door, I push the door open. Now the door's on it automatically closes. So if you don't prop it open or hold it open, it shuts. So I push the door open, and I kind of do a quick little push to see how much weight it is. And it's got some weight, but not too bad. Nothing like, where it's going to be like crazy hard, when it slams. So I open up, and now as I'm opening it and testing the door, because, again, I'm investigating mode now. I noticed there was two big, large, heavy rocks right there. And I'm like, well, I bet you at least one of these was holding the door open. So I opened the door, excuse me, put the rock in front of it and moved it away from the edge of it so it doesn't have a chance, because it was a little windy. So I was thinking, now if the rock was too close to the edge, could the wind have started pushing on it and then finally rolled the rock out of the way, and then the door closes? Okay. So I moved the rock, to where it would be a perfect spot for it to hold it open. And I then take the door and push it open and let go of it to see what kind of reaction I get from the rock. Is the rock going to move easily? Is it going to take a little bit of, finesse to get this thing to move? So I did it a couple times, and I'm noticing the rock is hardly moving. I mean, just so very minor. And I'm going, well, I've ruled out what I can say. The next thing is, when Dan gets back, I need to ask him, how did he prop the door open, before I even got there? Because I said, if he moved it to the edge, it makes sense. Now, I can't imagine anybody would do that, because that just doesn't, why would you put something just barely holding, the edge of the door? So I'm like, okay, excuse me, let me get a step. So I said, well, if this is paranormal, this could be interesting, because they're really obviously trying to keep me in, maybe, so I'm excited, I'm kind of like, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, it's on, I wasn't like buzzing with joy, but I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen next? That's where I'm going with this, So I go down the stairs, I do the basement, heard some more voices down there, and I'm just like, cool. And then I remember hearing like a bang of some sort, and I'm just like, this is going to be an interesting night. I really think it's going to be uh, crazy. I mean, who knows? Because I mean, the first time I was there, I was looking back, it was in 2018, and it was moderate. It wasn't, it didn't fit like all the claims that a lot of teams and a lot of people that I'm friends with have had there. And so, I'm thinking, yeah, well, this is a great start. This is already giving me, some hope that the evening will, if it's something like this for the rest of the night, fantastic. And so, I I was ready. I was ready to go. So I finished the place up, and then by that point, I was really like, wow, I wish there were some other people here right now to experience this with me, because it's my experiences. I got to go through it, and it's hard to, I can't prove any of it to any of you because but I, I'm not going to be tooting my own horn and making stuff up about this, because it was like, like I said, it wasn't crazy, but it was just enough to get my attention. So I'm like, that's cool. Hey, I like a little bit of a, some experiences like that, and especially since nobody was there. And I know a lot of the people that have worked there, and Dan, they have little experiences like that while they're, fixing things, cleaning things, that sort of stuff. So it happens. So yeah, everybody shows up then after, finally I started seeing messages after the third time I walked out. And because this time I stayed outside, and sure enough, people were, yeah, we're not going to be there till then. And I'm like, nobody told me. So like, I mean, it's all right. It wasn't like, the end of the world. So plus I got to walk around, by myself. So did I lose by, being there early? Nope. But so it was a good time. Now, crazy thing is, I'm going to finish this up because I want to move on. When everybody showed up, we set up, did a the Christopher and Phil did their presentation. It was, went great. And then, basically went off. Now I hung out with Amy and her husband, Mark. Amy's another psychic medium. Her husband, Mark's a great investigator. They have tons of equipment, which is so cool. I mean, they roll, excuse me, frog in my throat. They roll in with all kinds of cases, so it's really neat to see how much gear that they have, and it's great. And so I hung out with, it was just mostly the three of us all night long, because we let the guests be with the Booth brothers, because they paid to be there with them, so we just kind of did our thing and let them be. So interesting enough, the three of us hardly got anything else the rest of the night. I told them what I was going through, and then we had some spirit box sessions that worked out. We got some voices, they were talking to us, but they kept talking about another shadow that was there that they were kind of afraid of. And so there was like these weird moments that when the resident spirits would talk to us, they were kind of afraid, and it was strange. So like we trying to figure it out logically from a standpoint, but we didn't, obviously we weren't sure. I mean, we could guess, but the only way to know is to get back there again at some point, and then see if the activity is the same. Does it get more or is it less? So that's the fun part about investigating, is like you just can't go to one place once. Because if you get a lot of activity, then you want to go back to see if you get it again. If you don't get any activity, will you go back a second time and get some or more? That's always the thing in my head. I want to at least go back twice just to see whether, no matter what happens the very first time, let me see what else is going to happen. So, but it's all, it's all good. I mean, I'll say this one more time, because one more thing real quickly, and then I'll make sense with the whole thing. Oh my gosh, I forgot her name already. Woo. There's a female there that she basically lived there almost her entire life, and I am blanking on it like you wouldn't believe right now. We were in her room, and she ended up being the cook at some point in her life. I know this is the lady that got kicked in the head and wasn't able to speak at all or very well. So, but she loved cooking, and so she would cook a lot. And we were in her room, and I had a great personal, there you go, Nicole. Thank you. Ida, she came up to me. Now, again, it was Amy, Mark, and myself, and even Christopher's son, Gabriel, was in the room with us for a little while. And you could feel the energy, but then it just wasn't shining through. They, weren't touching any of the EMF equipment, who I don't know about the recorders. They did recording, and then but I noticed I had some crazy cold spots going on, which I did all night. I forgot to mention that too. I had cold spots, like they were pulling me around, like they were grabbing parts of my arm, and it was warm. I could feel a cold spot, and it felt like they were pulling me to certain areas. But Ida came up and she did this thing where she put her hand on my left side of my face, and it was, you know, some people get that where they do that where they come up and they kind of hold your face, or they put their hand on your face, as a way of comforting and sort of thing. But she came up and she put her hand on her face, and I could feel like right in this area. I mean, just ice cold. I mean, it was weird, but it was just like, a tiny little ice pack right here. And it was, again, it was warm. You could feel a little bit of perspiration and things, but it was so neat to feel this really cold spot. But I could tell she was right there. I could just almost see her. I mean, it was still kind of fuzzy and things, but I could see the silhouette enough with my own eyes. But again, she was just holding on, and it stayed that way for, oh my gosh, I think she held my face for a good 15-20 minutes. And but very comforting, very loving feeling, as if like either she was, you know just really happy to that I was there. I didn't She never really, because she couldn't speak, in a way, she didn't really project it enough to where I could understand what it was all about, other than that comforting and loving feeling. So, and that's probably maybe all it was, but she just kind of did that, and she kept putting it there, for a long time. And it really was neat. It was a great experience with her, and because I don't remember having anything back there in 2018 with her. So that was fun, and that was just another little experience that I had before, the night ended. But uh, you know, like I said, sometimes it's the way it goes and things. But you have the activity, and then it doesn't work for everybody. But now the other people, like the Booth brothers and all the other guests that were hanging out with them in groups, I mean, they were having all kinds of activity. I mean, they were all like, "Yeah, we're getting all this," and it's like Amy, Mark, and I look at each other going, what is happening? Why aren't they talking to us? We got two mediums here. Why aren't they like having a ball with us? But I don't know. I don't know. And so, I mean, we have some theories behind that as well, but I'll keep that private for now. So the whole thing with the hot flashes. Now that the rest of the night, or after I got there, I never had another single one. So after I got there and I was walking the place, I never had another hot flash the rest of the night. Woke up Sunday morning, because we got back really late, because Dan let us stay. Mark, Amy, and I stayed a little bit later because he was going to be spending the night there anyway. So we got to stay just a little bit longer after everybody left, because we wanted to just see if anything would change, after everybody left. But so I got home real late at the hotel, woke up, no issues all day long, driving home and stuff. Never had any hot flashes. So as I was driving home, I was thinking back on the night, and all the different things, especially leading up into the weekend. It made me think and realize that there is many times that when I am going to investigations, and this happens to a lot of mediums, you start getting visited, you start having experiences, you start having all kinds of sensations, and all kinds of things start happening leading up to an investigation. Sometimes, mostly because you've never been someplace, and it happens a lot now. I don't get them as much at the old mill anymore, because it's just they know as soon as we know we're going to be there, it's an automatic that they're like, oh, cool, our friends are coming. So they don't sit there and come in and start giving us messages early. They're just excited once we show up, and then they, are hanging out, telling us this and that. So I just realized that, because and still to this day, I've never had another hot flash, So again, it comes down to just having the experience. I didn't realize, because I've never had those before. I never had hot flashes, like I said, you get some sensations, you start having some dreams, you start sometimes even getting visited a little bit to where it's just to you. And or you get images of the investigation, or what's going, like the spirits you're going to be, hanging out with, so it truly was a whole experience. Now it sucks, because you think that there's something else wrong, because I'm sitting there thinking, man, am I going to have to get with the doctor then, or make an appointment? But it was gone. It's still gone. So, you know, and it's just a new thing, but I'm gonna have to remember that if I'm going through that, I have to kind of see, okay, what's coming up that I'm doing that there's a good chance. So um yeah, well, and then like so my dad's just saying the spirits like to play with newbies at their place. Well, sure. I mean, well, that's the thing is, you know, the, especially the mediums because they're the ones that'll have those experiences prior because they know okay somebody actually can see and hear us so they get excited and it's one of those things that maybe they're going to be able to share some information or it's the opposite of where they just don't want them there because they don't want them to find out certain information because maybe they did some bad things in real life so there is a flip side to things but sometimes they're get excited the ones that really want to get their messages out to you um Margaret, could they have been could they have been a projection from one of the spirits? Uh, you know, that's the thing. I mean, with it being a hot flash, it could have been a lot of things, uh, you know, it had to have been, something specific to that because of um the feelings. Like I said, I've never had that before. So is it something they wanted me to know? Is it just a deterrent because they didn't want me to show up? Because it did cross my mind because I kept thinking if I am getting sick of some sort or having a health problem, is it worth going and not, having a good time? But I knew that it wasn't serious. So that's why I thought if I go and it doesn't clear, it's easy for me to just leave and then but if it clears then I know it has everything to do with the location so yeah I mean it certainly can be just their way of determining me not to show up and if you think about it when the spirits didn't want to talk to us as much because they kept complaining about a shadowy figure that's around and scaring them that could be why maybe they were protecting me and that's why they thought if I make him sick enough he won't show up and he'll be safe you know so that could easily be the next thing. Yep, Nicole. Yep, they call you in before you get to the place. Absolutely, and right, they know you come into that place. Absolutely. So yeah, so like I said, it was a lot of fun. It was still got to see a lot of people I haven't seen. And hanging out with the Booth brothers. Is always a plus in my book. So, but I the worst thing about that is it's never long enough. When you go to these things, a lot of times it's specific because it's an event. So there's time restrictions and things. And, you don't always get to spend a lot of time catching up. And it's hard because it almost feels like you're an auctioneer where you're trying to like get caught up because, it's not like we don't send messages and text messages and things, but it's always cool to do that in person too. And when you don't have the amount of time, it stinks, and so I that's the part I hate the most is there's just never enough time. And um, but that's how it goes. And it's I think one of the things that a lot of the people that are on TV, the ones that are, on the speaking, circuit, so to speak, and are, the ones that we see, all the time, they're at a lot of the events that, they feel the same way. They don't really get to hang out with each other as much, especially, if they're not on the same shows anymore or they're on different shows and stuff. So there just isn't a whole lot of time anymore. And so it's always fun to have those moments and catch up with each other and even just talk normal. I've had conversations with some of them and where it was just like a couple of them and me, and we were sitting, talking during an investigation one time, we were off to the side and we were talking family life and stuff. And so it was completely non-related, there's people investigating, asking questions, and we're talking about normal things. And that was cool, and that's what's they want too. They just want to talk normal, because you can only talk so much ghost stuff because you've said it a million times type of thing. And so when I always hang out with them, I always I try to bring up other things and not always, the stuff that they're there for, because it doesn't matter what subject or what field they come from. I try to just talk about normal things just so it gives them a break. But that's me. I mean, I still love when everybody, has their questions they want to ask and things. And so they I mean, because everybody's got a burning question to ask somebody that they're a fan of and things. So, but yeah. So it was, like I said, good time, but yet, sad because you can't spend a lot of time with and hang out and stuff. And even then, not feeling the greatest on Saturday, I didn't even like try to reach out because I wasn't sure, um, how it was going to be for the rest of the day. But who knows? Might have cleared if I would have been hanging out with everybody. So, but okay, got 10:05, so I got 25 minutes. Um, One thing I want to talk about was another thing that happened this week, and even right at this point, one of my friends that I have mentioned, she's been on the show before once already, the show, well, and Beyond the Silent Show, and and she's been one that I'll reach out to quite often, and it's my friend Jennifer Passavant, and she was having a situation the other day, and like I said, we kind of things come up, we kind of throw things at each other just to kind of figure it out, and so we'll and plus we have a numbers, we do this number thing, so we'll like look at the clock and stuff like that, and we'll see if the numbers like that or your trip odometers and things like that. We're big numbers uh fans, so like we'll throw numbers at each other. So if it's like 448, so if you really think about it, you got 4 plus 4 is 8, or if it's like coming up in a couple minutes it'll be 1010, so 1010, and all these are cool because there's that there's things that represent those numbers, so if you look them up you can hear what that is, because when you catch that number like right as it happens, there's a specific reason for that. That was a message that was coming to you and you just didn't realize it. A lot of you guys know that numbers are a big thing, and so we'll catch them a lot, and you look at the clock and boom, there it is, and you're like, oh my god, that's so cool. So we'll throw numbers at each other all day long. And so right now Jennifer's just started in a presentation at an event in Battle Creek. Hey, good morning, Cindy. So she's not going to be watching, but maybe she'll watch this back, because since I'm talking about her, because I've always, I never know if I want to call people and use their names, when it's been something that's kind of cool, because I feel, I don't know, some people are okay with it, some aren't, and so it's always tricky to use their names because I don't know what they're going to be like or react to. So but she was having, because of the event she's at right now, it's all 3 days, she's um she was getting some, hey Matt, how you doing, buddy? Good morning. She was getting some early stuff, even like in a holistic event like she's at right now with a lot of other of my friends. They are She was just having all kinds of, well, what it was is she woke up and she was just giddy, real happy, real just buzzing with like energy. And it didn't drink any caffeine, didn't do any sugar, but she was just buzzing. And at first she didn't realize it until she was telling me about this. She goes, it kind of feels like when I've helped on their Hearts of Change collective, and then do their healing shows, which they try to do once a month now. And there's a point right before the show starts, or during it, there's a point where it feels like you've been plugged into a light socket, because you just have this like bolt of energy, and it's a cool feeling. And so she was just buzzing, and it was cool because then we started talking about, we're sending in messages to each other, and we're narrowing it down, we're figuring out what's going on, and we realized it was the excitement of things that were to come. And it was messages from the other side is essentially what it comes down to. And that's the point that I want to make with this, is that we don't always clearly know when we're getting messages from the other side. The longer you do this stuff, and talk to other people, you start to kind of figure it out together. So there's plenty of times like, oh yeah, that's a message. I got that. I didn't even have to flinch. It's like, yep, hey, what I mean? Like I do. You guys heard me talk many times on the show. You've seen it. You've seen so a lot of times it's dust, because if I start kicking the floor and stuff like that, and I don't clean my desk that often, so it's easy to make a poof of dust up in front of the laptop screen. So, but I've had a feather literally, fall, and I had a feather earlier in the week, get, easily, noticed it. And so it was really cool. But that's it. So like that, it can be that easy, but even then, what does it mean? So if you get that message, on whatever form that they present it to you. Do you understand it? Do you know what they're talking? That's then the next level of understanding. So she was getting that, and we didn't know. We did, maybe it was just whatever. It was she just woke up on the right side of the bed. But we really determined it was definitely going into this weekend, and just giving her the motivation, giving her the positive confidence to make the best of the weekend, no matter what happens. And that's, like I said, that's what I want to make sure that a lot of you recognize that, because if you wake up some morning and you're just like buzzing for joy, I mean, you could be excited about something that's happening that day. So there is that factor too. But what happens on days that you don't really have a whole lot? It's just going to be standard and routine. Why are you jumping for joy? Why are you buzzing? Did you ever think about it? Most don't, because they just realize it's like, oh, I'm just feeling good, and then just go about it. But they don't realize they were getting a message. So we all get them. It's just trying to figure them out and understand them right away. So I've talked about it before, but it doesn't hurt. And a lot of us, we have our phones. You can open up a notepad section. And by the way, it's 10:11. So see, as I just hit that, see, there you go. There's a number sequence right there. 10:11, numerological, chronological, so numerological. It's all the same. There you go. 10:11. So that meant something. So I could look up the number 10:11 and it'll tell me what it means. But it really is, it's just so cool to recognize it, even if you don't figure it out. Because what you can always do is say, hey, I understand this was what you were showing me. Like her, I get this positive boost of energy. I don't understand. Can you help clarify me? Can you give me another way so I can understand why I'm feeling this way? And it could be with anything, what I mean? Doesn't hurt for you to send that back out and ask them to clarify it, because we're not all experts. We can't always, to tell, because the messages are like that. They're sort of encrypted in a way, but the more they happen, you are more aware of what's going on with you in your life, and you're understanding things. And even then, maybe you are going down a spiritual path to where you're trying to connect with your guides and angels, and find yourself and stuff. You're going to get these little moments. So using your phone, which is where I was going with that, was, use the notepad session, or write down these things, no matter how weird they are, but write it down, write the date, write the time, and then write what happened. I mean, you don't have to write a novel, but just write some bullet points down, so that way you can look back, because maybe it'll happen again. Maybe in a couple months, you just get this urge to look over everything, and you'll read through all your notes, whether it's on your phone or, in a notebook or something. You'll go through it and you'll see a pattern. And that's the neat thing about it. You'll see this pattern, and you'll just kind of be blown away by it, because then you're going to start to, now those things are going to keep in you're going to, because you wrote them down, you have a way to start triggering, you'll remember these things. And so I used to do it a ton when I first started. I mean, a ton. I mean, if I could find my old notes, which I actually did them online in a pad, notebook kind of thing area, because I could get to it anywhere. So I knew I could always log in anywhere at anybody's computer and get to it and type it in. So that way it was always there, because back then the cell phones and things didn't have that, and I wasn't going to carry a notebook with me all day long like I was in school. But at least online, I always knew where I could go and fill it out. So I did, to be brutally honest, for probably from 2005 to all the way through probably 2013. Well, no, probably longer than that, probably through 2014, 2015. I was writing anytime something weird was happening, or something cool that happened that I felt was related to my journey. And then when I would look back at it, it was like, because I'd go back, or I remembered something, about this time, and I would look at it, but it's just a great way to sort of keep track, because again, you're not going to always figure them all out, but it's good to have that reference to go to. Margaret, yeah, I mean, see, music, songs, why you keep hearing them, there's a message in them, and whether it's from somebody on the other side, or it's a message that your guides want you to hear, like especially if it has lyrics to it. uh it's all important. I've had that a lot over the years. I've had music enter my life that I didn't even know that the artist, the band existed, and it just shows up, and then I listen to it, love it, and then when I read the lyrics, I'm like floored. So that's really, really cool when that happens. And I that's a message like you wouldn't believe, because obviously that it doesn't get any more clear, especially if you read the lyrics. Now, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, because there could be some rough spots in your life. And so sometimes, there's songs out there that talk about certain issues, and it might be issues you're going through. And so you'll read them, and it kind of just shows you that the other side is aware of your situation. Your guides, your angels, they are aware of it, and they are going to, you know, validate it. But at the same time, sometimes those songs, those lyrics have, you know, positive endings to it. So that's what you take from it. Maybe not every single line in the song is, exactly, but you got to remember you're looking at the bigger picture, not just, every detail of it, but look at the bigger picture, make it simple for yourselves. But yeah, it's really cool when the music does that. So yeah, like I said, messages can come from any way, any form. You could have a person walk into your life that you've never met before, and yet they're a living, breathing person like yourself, and you learn things from each other. Didn't know them, 5 minutes prior, and then you meet them, and then you have a great conversation. You know, like I talked about her earlier, Jen, I met her in 2020, right before the pandemic, shut us down for the first time. Never knew who she was, never met her, didn't even know she existed. And we've been great friends since. And it's just to show you there's a reason for us to be connected. We are able to help each other out, with our past, with our journeys, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So that's what's fun, is when you go to events and you meet people, and all of a sudden you have this connection that you can't understand. And I love when that happens, because I've so many people I've met over the years doing this, and you end up becoming real good friends, and you check on them, you send messages, and when you see them, you just you're it's like it's the wonderful thing. So Jen's been that way for me, and like I said, I'm just using her because she's just one that I am. But there's so many others that I'm always talking to, or sometimes I'm told to check on somebody specifically, and I'll reach out to them, and they're like, yeah, actually I'm having some issues. That's weird that you connected with me. I'm like, well, my guides told me I needed to, and so I'm here. What's going on? What can I help with? Yeah, dad. Yep, absolutely. Same, exactly. It's weird when you can get that too. Uh, the song will just replay all the time. That's a cool thing. I love that's another great moment, is when the song keeps coming up, because sometimes you ignore it. Like, you might hear a song, maybe not be your favorite, and then when it comes back on, it's like, why do I keep hearing this song? There's a message there. So you have to look up the song, look up the lyrics, and just read through it slowly. Don't read it as if you're singing through it, but read it up. See if there's something in the lyrics that makes sense to you, as you read through it. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I love that. But yeah, so again, there's a lot of ways that the messages happen. I mean, whether it's them trying to do that to you personally, or they send people to you. I mean, like I said, it is such a, like I said, if you can't tell how excited I am talking about that, you're missing something on me. But it's so cool, like I said, and it's, you, and even then, there's always that slim chance that you, especially if it is a person, they might only be around for a short amount of time. You know what I mean? You know, you hate to let somebody move on, but I've had that. It has happened a lot of times. You connect, you hang out with people, you exchanging information that is better for both of you on your path. And then the next thing you know, some changes happen. And then it's you don't see them anymore. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but I've gotten used to it, knowing that this was meant to be. This was we've given each other the information that we needed, and now we've moved on, and that's okay. You know, it's you want to be friends with somebody that you really care about, and then but that's the thing is it happens, and it happens more than people realize, and I think you know most don't understand it. They don't, I mean, and so like I said, me and others in our positions, really have that opportunity because we know we go through it all the time, whereas, you know, maybe some of you, it's not like you have like a ton of friends, or maybe you have a ton of friends and they stay the same. Nothing ever changes. You don't really add any, you really aren't losing any. And it just stays the same. There's nothing wrong in that. but um but for us that are doing what we do, and involved in healing and giving messages and um, positivity, which is what I always try to do every time I talk to you guys, it happens. We are continuing to learn. I've said this many times. We are always learning. We don't know everything. I don't know everything. There's plenty of things I've talked to people and still learn things, and I'm always like, dang, even people that aren't even in the field, they're in completely different path of life, and I've learned things. Even this past week I was talking to a coworker, and he was talking about some things he's heard of, and I'm like, I never heard of that. Then tell me more. And so it's exciting then to hear something from somebody that's not related in my field, but it'll be information I need, because if I got excited to hear it, there's a reason. So um and it's just like I said, you get used to it the more it happens. And like I said, it's hard in the beginning if you're going to make this journey. How you are going to You have to create yourself to be you have to be creative enough to where you are aware. And there's classes that we can all take. I mean, there's things that I want to do. I have a scheduled meeting tomorrow to work out some stuff for hopefully next year. And if that works out, there could be a class or two next year that is a lot of the things I've talked about, or some of the stuff that's in that class, and it may help you. So um it could be a good thing. And I definitely will be there, that's for darn sure. Even if I got to be a guest, or whatever, I'm going to be there. but um but that's the thing, you give people the opportunities to see, if it's something they want to go down. And like I said, the class thing works out. It doesn't mean you have to go anywhere with it other than just that. You know what I mean? You don't have to go like I did. I went beyond the class. I continued to move forward, because I was called to do it. The messages were clear. You need to do this. Got it. And then you go and do it. I've talked about, a lot of the different styles of readings I do, and being told to do more. I got a brand new deck today that I haven't even cracked it open yet. I was working on my runes yesterday. I gave a couple private, one rune cast to a couple of friends yesterday, just to give myself some more practice, because I'm trying to memorize them, because it's not easy. There's a lot of 24 runes, and I gotta know how to say their name, know what they mean, and then I gotta use my guides to help me make it sense to you. So I'm working at it, but I want to do it. But one of these times I might just do it and use cheat sheets to kind of get you through it. So, but that is on the menu, as I keep saying. But so yeah, there's a lot of cool things. We're down to 6 minutes left. Awesome. I was going to bring this up earlier and I forgot, but since I started talking, I thought, well, I'll just wait till the end. Next Saturday, which will be fine. We'll be in. Let me double check. I don't think there's any issues anytime soon. Yeah, because it'll be July 3rd. So yeah. I understand that a lot of you might have 4th of July plans, that whole weekend. So I understand if a lot of you can't make it, but I'm going to still have it, because it really isn't the holiday. So, I mean, if the 4th was on Saturday, I probably wouldn't have. But since it's the 3rd, I'm still going to have the morning show. So, be ready for that. There is one aspect I already have on the that I'll be talking about. couple weeks ago, you guys heard me talking about some situations that were going on with me. Well, they're finally they're finally working themselves out, and technically tomorrow, Monday, there's a big meeting that's going on that will finally explain everything. It'll all be out, and then I will be able to share with you some of the stresses that it had put me through. And now this has nothing to do with the mediumship or anything like that. I'll at least give you that tidbit. This has nothing to do with this stuff. But it could have changed things for me in this area. So I'll after Monday, I should be able to finally reveal everything. And like I said, it was a roller coaster ride. Um, so that will be a big topic for next Saturday as to like what everything was going on. But just like always, there's a good positive twist to everything. And that's the main thing I want to bring across. Like I said, it was an up and down thing, but how I handled myself, and even had a rough moment there too, but how I handled myself and got through it that's the main thing I want to share with you guys, is that, you know, we've talked about it before, and I give examples, and this is why when it does happen, I want to bring it up so you guys keep knowing that, we go through things, and sometimes it's out of our control, and you just have to make the best out of it. So next Saturday should be a good morning show for that. And then um, I can finally get this out. I don't have to hold on to it anymore. And so that'll be fun to share. But again, give you guys something, positive to look at, and especially if you ever get through, a situation like it, you know. But other than that, gang, gonna just keep doing our thing. I Because of all that stress that's been going on, it really kind of deterred me from a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff I've missed as far as messages. There's a lot of um, planning. There was a lot of things I kept saying I'm doing, and I feel bad because I feel like I'm a broken record half the time. But I also look at it too. It's not an excuse on my side. It's the fact that I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to have enough information out there. I want to do live shows and do reading shows for you guys. And I just sometimes situations happen, and I just have to roll with it. And so and there's probably a reason for it. You know what I mean? Which that's why I said. I mean, I feel bad, but at the same time, I know you guys are going to be hanging out, and you'll be watching, no matter what, and supporting me. So, it's never intentional. I think if I ever did something intentional, I probably would become clean of it right away. I can't hold too much in without sharing it. I mean, I can always delay sharing information, but I'm not going to hold it forever. But, so yeah, there's tons of things I want to get going for you guys. So yeah, I want to hopefully technically after this week, things should calm down enough to where I can really focus on getting some events scheduled as far as the live reading shows. Because again, I have a few ideas, and I want to do different styles for you guys, ones that I'm comfortable with, and that way you get a little bit of a little different things from me, and that might be something like in the future. So when we go to other events, whether it's a holistic event or it's a paranormal event, and I got a table or something like that, and you'd be like, hey, I want that kind of reading. Okay, and we'll go that way. So I want to provide enough things that maybe you are called to, you know what I mean? And that's my thing. I know that's why they keep throwing me and making me want to do other styles of readings for people, because I think there'd be enough to where it's not just going to be a psychic medium sit down. Even though when I do the other stuff like pulling cards or the runes eventually, it's that stuff still gets involved. It's just not the main thing. A lot of times with the cards and the runes and things of that nature, you can kind of physically see something. So now it adds a little bit different view in your mind. And so that's what I think is going to be kind of fun. So, thanks, Rodney. So yes, so we are going to get out of here because it is 10:30, and if the rain's going to hold off for me, I may go out there and cut my grass because it needs it. And before it gets too soaking wet out again. Yeah, I can do card tricks. Yes, I absolutely can. But right. So I'm gonna get out of here. I have got a few things going on, but gonna be home. But like I said, if I can get out and cut the grass, that'll be fantastic. And then start looking at some things, start kind of doing some pre-production stuff as far as planning things and get that at least written out to where then when I finally can sit down and schedule dates, then you guys will know. And then we'll do that. And so yeah, definitely next weekend I'll be here. So hopefully you guys are around. If you're not, it's okay. It's you guys do your thing. And like I said, you guys can always watch this back. You can watch the videos portion of it on either the YouTube or Facebook page. I also, download the audio of it, and you can always do it in a podcast because then you can always listen to it in an audio version, especially if you're like at work and you can't have a screen lit up. You can always listen to it in that form. So so I always appreciate all my podcast listeners, and especially you guys, whether you're watching it live now or you're watching it back at another time at your convenience, because I know sometimes it's early, not everybody wants to wake up and be focused on I get it, but I think it's kind of fun in the morning that we all get to start our days together. So, oh, Debbie, no worries. You, like I just said, you can always watch it back. So all righty, I'm gonna get out of here so you guys can get on with your weekends. And so it's the last weekend of June. Oh, by the way, yeah, we've had some full moons, we've had some other astrological events this past week, so hopefully you guys are doing well from those. I think the full moon was either Thursday or Friday nights, one of those two. So hopefully you guys are doing well from those, because that opened up a lot of things and a lot of people. So yes, Nicole, have a great, beautiful weekend yourself. Thank you so much. Again, yes, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Have a great rest of your weekend. Let's have a great end of June and beginning of July next week, so we get to finish and start a new one. So let's get this month over with. Let's get into July. Let's just have some fun, be positive, and definitely I will see you soon. Look for some posts coming up. I'm going to try to keep doing that a little bit more, keep you guys on your toes and checking my page out more and more. Don't worry, I won't hound you. So all right, you guys have been watching Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thanks again, and I will see you very soon. And as always, all my love, light, and peace to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much.